My first novel is called Unapparent Wounds, and it comes from a poem by Shelley, where the line that struck me was, "Be thou like the imperial basilisk, killing thy foe with unapparent wounds." And what it spoke to was that monster, the mythical monster, when the warrior, the knight, was stabbing the monster, the poison still went back through the spear and got him. There was no escape from the pain. We lived in Beverly Hills. My father was obsessed with making money because that was the generation he came from. He didn't get to go to college or anything. His father was a junk peddler in Indiana. Nobody really spoke English. He had two sisters and a, I think, pretty hysterical mother. I really didn't know them. They died when I was a baby. And he was driven, and he worked very, very hard. I honor all this in Unapparent Wounds because I loved him, even though I knew, you know, how really ill he was in many ways. But he worked hard. And he was always moving us into fancier and fancier houses because he was the real estate developer. So we kept moving up into Truesdale Estates. He built the third or second house up there. It was on the cover of Architectural Digest. It was a big deal. But he was a miser. And my mother lived like a little girl. He gave her a monthly allowance, and she'd have to beg him to buy us new tennis shoes. So the good part about that was I was never spoiled. I wasn't a chauffeur kid. Wasn't daddy's little princess or anything like that. So I never thought we were wealthy, ever. You know, I just knew that I'd have to beg if I needed a new, you know, a new dress or something. And that was the way it was. And frankly, I'm grateful for that, because I see the wreckage of the ones who grew up as daddy's little princess and got everything they wanted when they wanted, and then when their lives didn't turn out so well, the money went away, or they blew it, or whatever, and daddy died or married the, you know, the yoga instructor. They had absolutely no skills for survival, where, you know, I never expected anything like that. So I think every childhood is a mixed bag. You know, I mean, being completely well loved and insulated doesn't really prepare you for life if it doesn't go quite that same way your childhood does. Because I observe people, and I've known so many people, and I talk to people, and I listen. I see both sides. I think that's why I don't feel any bitterness, why I, you know, so forgiven my family, and I don't have to write about them anymore. They're wonderful writers. They're not storytellers, and they don't have any imagination. They have to keep writing about their forms in one form or another. Their parents, their grandparents, their, you know, their ex-wives, their wives, their children, their ex-husbands, or whatever. They keep mining that, and I'm thinking that would just have been so boring to me. You know, it's enough already. You're grown up now. You know, isn't there anything else you're interested in? So that's, you know, sort of the legacy. Not that it's easy to have to deal with that. I dedicated one book just to my father. The first book I dedicated to him. My mother had died, whatever. Some of it was certainly not so flattering. About his mistresses and sleeping with women from the time my mother was pregnant with me, and her telling me that, right, you know, and the viciousness and a lot of that was in there. I gave it to him to read. I said, Dad, you know, this is really important to me, but if there's anything in here that is really too hard for you, I will take it out. And he only asked for two things to be taken out of what was not a particularly attractive father portrait. That he wore mantan and three things: a mantan, a toupee, and elevator shoes. You got it, Dad.